Welcome to the Daily Plunge. We are in the book of Psalms, Psalm 139, verses 1 through 24. This is a great psalm. It starts off, Lord, you've searched me and you know me. You know me to the core of who I am. And in this psalm, David is praising God. He's praising God's characteristics of being omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent, or you could say all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-present. And the way he does that, though, is in the nitty-gritty of his own life. And so he confesses wonder and praise about the God who isn't simply all-knowing, but knows everything about him. And that God knows all things and he knows them exhaustively. That God knows instantly and effortlessly everything, in every matter. And where we know very little, where what we know can fit into like a thimble, we don't even know ourselves. God knows us and down to the depths of the details, right? And what are we to do with a God before whom all our hearts are open, all our desires are known? This all-knowing God can be immensely threatening. And which is part of the reason why people try to banish God from their minds. So that for an unsaved person, an all-knowing, all-powerful God, it seems intrusive and frightening. And for good reason, because this is the God that will judge us at the end of time. He's also praising God for that he's everywhere, right? What sort of impresses him, he says, where can I go from your spirit, your Holy Spirit? Where can I run to? Job found out there's no running away from God. And try as he might, he will never be able to escape God. And, and there's no escaping God. But rather than fearing this God, just like not fearing the God who knows my hearts because he knows me, knowing that God is with me, that I can't go to the top of heaven or to the bottom of hell, and here you are with me, is comforting because you are with me. And nothing in all of creation, as it says in Hebrews, is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid before his eyes, and because he's with us. And the next one is that David is praising God's omnipotence, his all-powerfulness, but the way he does it is to talk about how God created him. And that, David is not thinking of God's omnipotence in an abstract manner, but looking at his own flesh and blood. And God has made me. He formed me from my very first moments. And, while I was still in my mother's womb, God was making me. And that's why he's all powerful, because he has made me. That's why he knows me. That's why he's always with me. And it's out of this passage that we know that God doesn't concern himself with a clump of cells or a fetus. God is creating a human being, each one unique. That's why we believe in the value of life from conception to death and to beyond, really. And then what comes next is, what do you do with this all-knowing, all-powerful, all-present God? You either accept him or run away from him. The only way to run away from God, to banish him from your life, is to engage in the wrong kind of life, to engage in wickedness. And David says, that you would slay the wicked. Well, wait a minute. That might include David or me, Well, there's a difference between those who are repentant and those who insist on rejecting God. And that's why this psalm helps us keep humble, should comfort us, because God knows the worst of us and still loves us anyways, and should encourage us to live for God. Hey, thanks, friends. Have a blessed day.